to the Who Dat Nation. Welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and week 14 has arrived as the New Orleans Saints, who now sit third in the NFC South with a 5-7 record, will play host to their other division rival, the 1-11 Carolina Panthers, this Sunday in the Caesars Superdome, 12 noon on Fox. How is the Who Dat Nation doing? How are we holding up? uh, let's start with myself. I am, as I stated in past couple of weeks, I'm just emotionless about this game, about this team. Not so much the game, but I'm just done. It's like whatever, normally I would have been mad all week because of that loss. I wasn't. I really wasn't mad at the game. Now I did get mad, and we're gonna go over what I was mad about in a few minutes. But as far as this team, it's nothing. It's just nothing to cheer for, man. And what we're going to go over today before we get into this Saints versus Panthers preview, we're going to talk about Mickey Loomis. Now, all the vitriol that has been pointed in Dennis Allen's direction for the past 2 years, all of a sudden, it just for me, shifted this past week. And the target is firmly planted on Mickey Loomis' chest. And I just cannot wrap my head around a NFL general manager making comments about the fans and the media like he did and expect the fans to get behind his team after he made these stupid comments. And it's mind-boggling. It's just displays the arrogance of this team and why they are what they are. It showed me right there when I listened to Mickey Loomis why this team is in the position that they're in. It's not so much Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen is Dennis Allen. There's no shock there. This is the same Dennis Allen who was the head coach of the then Oakland Raiders, underachieving. I think he was 8 and something as a head coach over there. That's why he got fired. And it's the same formula here. And so there's really no shock there. He is who he is. Pete Carmichael is who he is. He was the clipboard holder for Sean Payton. After all those years of sitting under Sean Payton, he learned absolutely nothing. And he's been showing it since he's been the offensive coordinator for the Saints. So he pretty much is who he is. Derek Carr, he is who he is. And I drunk the Kool-Aid, just like a lot of people drunk the Kool-Aid with this cat, that he was that difference maker. And not difference maker in the sense that he was an elite quarterback, now that he joined the team, we're automatic Super Bowl contenders. I never felt that. I just felt he would be better than what we've been putting on the field ever since Drew Brees rode off into the sunset. I was wrong. And I'm man enough to admit I was wrong. I never really looked back at Derek Carr, his tenure there in Oakland and in Vegas as the quarterback of the Raiders. I never really looked at it. He is who he is. This is the same Derek Carr from the Raiders. He is not that dude. And I really thought that he was that guy. I just thought he would be good enough, at least be better than Andy Dalton. And I sit here today saying I'd rather Andy Dalton than this dude. Now, I will say this about Derek Carr, and I believe I've said it on this show previously, and I'm going to keep banging the drum for this. I think Derek Carr can be a good quarterback. Never elite, never. You got to have the correct mindset for that. and he doesn't possess that. But I think he can be a good quarterback if he was coached well. Derek Carr has never had a good coach. I'll give him that. He's never had a coach that would take their time with them and with him rather, and really coach him up. For instance, you look at Sam Howell at, with Washington. Sam Howell, and I know everybody's like, who? Exactly. But Sam Howell is leading the league, at least he was, I think, a week ago, leading the league in passing. And that's because of the coaching. Because Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator over there. And all of a sudden, he started playing well. Now, Washington still stinks, but they're a potent offense. And so coaching goes a long way. Look at Russell Wilson over in Denver. Russell Wilson got to Denver last year and looked like trash. He looked like a shell of himself. And Sean Payton gets over there this year. And granted, this still isn't the Russell Wilson who went to 2 Super Bowls in Seattle, but he's better than what he was last year under a good coach. We don't have that here. And so we don't have that. Another example, speaking of Sean Payton, look at Jameis Winston when Sean Payton was coaching him before he got injured. Jameis Winston looked like a capable quarterback. Once Sean Payton left, granted he hasn't had the opportunities, but when he did get the opportunities, he didn't take advantage of it. So it is what it is. But he looked way better when Sean Payton was his coach. And so I think Derek Carr could be a decent quarterback under good coaching. But all of this falls on the head of Mickey Loomis. All of this. This is your baby here. This is you, man. You put this together. You hired Dennis Allen. You begged Pete Carmichael to come out of retirement and call this offense. You signed off on the Derek Carr thing. Now, whether it was your idea or not, I don't know, but you signed off on it. And so everything points to him. And when this team needed help, when we needed new additions to this team to help us, you did nothing. You're the general manager. You're the boss hog. So everything that happens around this team, he's the one. He's the one that dictates that to a degree. So I got to put it on him. And then after these comments he made, this interview he did with play-by-play Mike Haas, I believe, on the Saints radio network. What was it? WWL. And he just went in on the media and the fans. Now, I like to consider myself both. I'm a fan first, and I'm part of the media because I'm here reporting stuff about the Saints, talking about the Saints, reviewing the Saints, previewing the Saints. So I like to consider myself a form of media. I'm not on the level of a lot of others, but hey, I'm still a part of the media. But first and foremost, I'm a fan. And for him to take a shot at the fans that's low. That's low. That's Bush League, man. And so let's go over part of that interview, what all was said by Saints general manager Mickey Loomis. Now, there's plenty of disappointment with the New Orleans Saints this season. They're 7 or 5-7 against the easiest schedule in the NFL. The easiest. And fans are fed up. We're just simply fed up. Now, Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael have caught plenty of flack all season long. The pressure is starting to mount for them. Traditionally, in a normal franchise, they will be on the hot seat. And players are noticeably under some heat as well. And nothing says this more than last week's game against the Detroit Lions, which pretty much proved Saints fans are extremely close to giving up on this team. if not already, like myself. I had pretty much given up on this team. And it really, really showed. The crowd in the Caesar Superdome were full of Lions fans at a home game. It looked like a Detroit home game. And the boos rained in from the Saints fans when Derek Carr went onto the field in the first half. The first quarter was filled with big plays from the Detroit Lions, and their fans dominated the cheering throughout the game. Overall, it was a tough look for the Saints. Saints general manager Mickey Loomis addressed the disappointing crowd and comments from the team's fan base in a recent interview. Loomis discussed the idea some fans believe in that some players actually quit on the team during the Detroit Lions game in that first half, especially. He shot that concept down immediately. And this was his response to it. And I quote, "That's somebody that's either didn't watch the game or didn't understand the game, and probably a lot of both." Now, look, Stevie Wonder can see that this team gave up in that first. They did not play in that first half. That was embarrassing. They didn't even try. They weren't even trying to tackle. They weren't trying to block. They weren't trying to catch balls. There was no energy. Come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do that, Mickey Loomis. Don't do that. I'd rather him say he would have did better by saying, "Look, I understand the fans are frustrated. We'll do better," and just leave it at that. You'll say more with less, other than going into this foolishness like we don't see what we saw. Like we don't know what we talking about. Like we never watched a football game in our lives. That's the insulting part. That's the part where I got upset with Mickey Loomis. Oh, we didn't. You didn't watch the game, or you just don't understand the game. No, you don't understand the game. Obviously, you don't understand the game because you hired a coach with a losing record and expect a change. You went through this last year, and we went through it again. We're going through it again this season, and nothing has changed. But we don't understand the game. I get it. The Saints general manager also specified his thoughts regarding the crowd reaction and lack of fans dominating in some of the best seats in the Superdome last week in the Dome. This was his quote. "One of the things that we have here is a very, very passionate fan base. I appreciate that. Our fans care. They want to win. We've set a high standard for that, and when we don't win, it can become emotional. Look, our team is fighting. They're fighting and giving everything they can to win the game. Every player is, and the booing doesn't help us. It certainly doesn't help us. And I know as a fan myself of teams, I understand that. Yeah, I can be angry and boo, but I'm not helping my team doing this. They have the right to express themselves. They're paying a lot of money to come watch our team, and they can certainly boo, but I don't have to like it." End quote. Well, Mickey, you're an idiot. I never seen somebody talk out of both sides of their mouth in one statement in my life. Yeah, we suck. That's why we're booing. That's why we're booing. We was sold a dream. Y'all came out here. Y'all made these moves. You brought in Derek Carr. You brought back, should I say, Jimmy Graham. You brought in Foster Monroe, Jamal Williams, all these other players. And you told us after the schedule was released and you saw that we had the easiest schedule in NFL history pretty much, that this was the year. Our division is weak. This is the year. And you are third in this weak division. This is the worst division in the NFL. The worst. Everybody is under 500 or 500 and less. Nobody is over 500 in this division. Complete trash. And we are third in it. And you don't like the fact that we're booing you. Booing should be the least of your worries. You're lucky you're not getting bricks thrown at your head. If you was in Philadelphia, this would be, oh my God. You know how Philly fans are? They demand greatness. Even when they stunk, they demand greatness, and they don't care. They would throw things, curse you out, talk about your wife, your mother. It doesn't matter. See, Mickey Loomis, Dennis Allen, the Saints organization as a whole, they're taking advantage of the New Orleans laid back persona. We are a laid back people. We're not gonna get all frantic to the point where we flip out and, you know, burn down stuff or you know, you don't have to grease poles in New Orleans when we win something, because very rarely we win anything. So it's not that. We just cool. We'll get mad, and then a week later we get over it. For example, if we win Sunday, beat the Panthers, half of the Saints fan base will forget all about what took place the previous 13 weeks of the season. Me, on the other hand, I won't. But that's not the point. The point is, Mickey Loomis is playing on the fact that we are complete idiots. And I'm me personally, I'm not letting him get away with it. Now, he 9 times out of 10 probably don't even know who I am. Probably don't even know this show exists. But that's fine. That's fine. But it's out there. You're not getting away with it, sir. No. You're not going to play. How are you going to sit there and say, man, look, moving on. Loomis is defending his team and his staff, which I get. He is defending these are his people, you know. He hired this staff. This is his team he put together, which shouldn't surprise nobody that he's defending them. I get all that. Regardless, their performance this season has not been good enough. And fans that pay good money. You know how expensive it is to go to a Saints game? Not this week, because you can pull change out of the ashtray. You remember when you used to have change in the ashtray to get gas and all that? All the good old days. You can do that now and buy a Saints ticket for this game coming up this Sunday against the Panthers. They're giving tickets away. Giving them away. But prior to this week, man, it's expensive to go to a game. And I don't know about all of you, but I don't have money like that. I can't afford to go to a Saints game every week and pay that money, let alone get something out that concession stand. My God. The concession stand, you better have eaten before you got to the stadium, because if you got to eat something there, you're going to go broke. That's your whole check right there. It's over. But you expect these people to come to these games, spend their money, and for you to put this product out there and just be happy? What you wanted to, honestly, Mickey, what you wanted them to do? Cheer that you fell 21-0 in the first quarter? What you wanted the Saints fans to do? I'm please, because throughout this interview he said nothing. Like, what was the counter to the booing? What were Saints fans supposed to do? Well, this is what the Saints fans should have did in that dome. Got up and left. That's what they should have did. That would have sent the message. But gradually they're starting to send that message. That's why them tickets are the way they are. Nobody is going to the games. That's why you saw a lot of Lions fans at the stadium last week, because Saints fans sold their tickets. They didn't want to go. Who wants to see that? I mean, honestly, who wants to go see that? I would rather go see a high school game. At least that's more competitive. It's more exciting. This is trash. At times this season, the New Orleans Saints looked like the worst team in football. They did. And it's time for the Who Dat Nation to acknowledge and accept that this team is not good. And it's not because of the talent. that's on the field, because I believe the Saints have enough talent in that locker room to be competitive. Maybe not a Super Bowl contender, but competitive. At the very least 7-5, as opposed to 5-7. you know, but in all reality, they should be one of the top teams in the NFC. Honestly, go back through the season. It is embarrassing, man. It is embarrassing. Oh, but anywho's, let's jump in. That's enough about Mickey Loomis. My pressure is shooting through the roof right now. let's let's dive into this upcoming matchup against the Carolina Panthers. This is our second game this year against Carolina, and a must win, may I say. The New Orleans Saints start the second half of their 2023 NFC South slate as they host the Carolina Panthers this Sunday in the Superdome. The Saints will be looking to improve their record to 6-7 and even up their division mark at 2-2, while sweeping the Panthers this season in the process. Currently at 5-7, New Orleans is tied for second, technically third because they lost to Tampa, but they're tied for second in the NFC South to Tampa Bay. One game behind Atlanta, who we also lost, with New Orleans having the benefit of playing Tampa in week 17 and Atlanta in week 18. Coincidentally, both of those teams, the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, will face off this Sunday in Atlanta. New Orleans and Carolina split in 2021 and in 2022, with their last meeting taking place in week 2 of this year on September the 18th in a tightly contested Monday Night Football game, our only Monday Night Football game of the season, where the Saints won 20-17. And I still don't understand how we struggled in that game, which should have been a precursor to how the season was going to play out. We struggled against a 1-11 team, people. We struggled. Anyways, the Carolina Panthers, defensively, they ranked 7th in the NFL, 23rd against the run, but 4th against the pass. The Panthers are 30th overall on offense, 26th rushing and 30th passing. New Orleans, on the other hand, are ranked 11th in the NFL in total offense, 10th in passing, with an average of 243.3 yards per game, and 19th in rushing. They're 15th in total defense, 24th against the run, and 7th against the pass, surrendering only 197 yards per game. That run defense is scarce, man. You realize the Saints have given up close to 500 yards in the last 2 weeks rushing? That is ridiculous. This used to be the steel curtain, man. This was like, you weren't running on the Saints defense. What happened? This season, everybody has been gashing the Saints on the ground. It is night and day. Now, I hear a lot of people talking, some of the commentators and pundits saying that the Saints defense is old. And look, they are in some shape, forms, or fashion, but come on, bruh. They're not that old. They're not that old. Yeah, are they getting old? Yes. Cam Jordan is getting up there? Yes. But man, come on, bruh. That is embarrassing. But to recap that Monday night game in week 2, where we went to Carolina and defeated the Panthers, it took another strong performance by the defense. The defense was actually playing good around that time. One of the best catches in franchise history in order to beat Carolina in Charlotte. Saints entered that game with 2 active running backs. Let's not forget that Alvin Kamara was suspended for that game. We had Jamal Williams and Tony Jones Jr. for that game, but we lost Williams with a hamstring injury in the first half of that game. Tony Jones Jr. finished with 34 yards on 12 carries. Well, Taysom Hill had 75 yards on 9 carries. Derek Carr in that game was 21 of 36 for 228 yards. Michael Thomas passed Eric Martin into second place in receptions in team history with 7 catches for 55 yards total. With the score tied at 6 in the third quarter and the Saints offense struggling, Derek Carr lofted a deep pass down the sideline to Chris Olave, who made a one-handed juggling catch against cornerback C.J. Henderson. Olave was able to tip the ball with one free hand and then secure it for a 42-yard catch while crashing to the ground. That huge play jump-started the offense and led a 2-yard touchdown run by Tony Jones Jr. on that drive, the first score of his short career. He added another 2-yard score with 3 minutes left in the game. Olave finished that game with 6 catches and 86 yards. The Jones scores in 2 short Blake Groupie field goals. He kicked a 28-yarder and a 23-yarder were enough to win as the New Orleans defense turned in another suffocating performance, as at the time only allowed 1 touchdown in 2 games and going 10 consecutive games without any opponent scoring more than 20 points. We all know that will soon come to an end. It soon came to an end later on throughout the season. Their rookie quarterback, Bryce Young, who was the number 1 overall pick, he struggled against the Saints defense, losing 1 fumble. Could have lost 2, but a penalty wiped that away. Through 3 quarters, Carolina had fewer than 120 yards of offense and was 1 of 9 on third down. Carl Granderson had another strong outing with a sack and a forced fumble. Marcus May had a sack, as did Nathan Shepard and Demario Davis. Carolina only scored on 3 field goals, 2 more than 50 before their final drive of the game. And quite honestly, this was the last time you could honestly say you was happy with what you was looking at on the field, because at this point the Saints were 2-0, and this was the first 2-0 start since 2013. Since 10 years, this was the first 2-0 start. And immediately following this, all the wheels came off. That was in week 3 when we played Green Bay. We was up 17-0 in the fourth quarter and lost. But that's another story for another day. And it was just downhill from there. And so this week is going to be a little different. The head coach of the Carolina Panthers in week 2 was Frank Wright. Not anymore. Their interim head coach is Chris Talbert. And Frank Wright was fired a couple of weeks ago after this horrendous start to his career over there in Carolina. So they got a new coach coming in here, and the offense looked a little better last week under this interim head coach. Will it pay dividends? Hey, who knows? But we shall see this upcoming Sunday. Let's go over the season leaders for each team, beginning with our quarterbacks for the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, so far this season, he is 231 on 381 pass attempts, 2,055 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. For the New Orleans Saints, Derek Carr, 261 on 394 pass attempts, 2,761 yards of passing, 11 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Leading rushers, Hubbard for the Carolina Panthers, he has 143 carries with 555 yards and 4 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara for the Saints, 133 carries, 508 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Leading receivers for the Carolina Panthers is Adam Thielen, 80 catches for 753 yards and 4 touchdowns. For the New Orleans Saints, it is Chris Olave, 68 receptions for 890 yards with 3 touchdowns. All right, let's go through our injury report. And this is an interesting injury report to go over. There are a lot of questionables and a lot of outs in this game for both teams, to be honest with you. Starting with Carolina, Steven Sutherland, their tight end, he is questionable for Sunday's game. Tommy Tremble, their other tight end, he is also questionable. Hayden Hurst, their other tight end, is out. Defensive tackle Deshaun Williams is out. And for the New Orleans Saints, let's go over this laundry list. Beginning with defensive end Isaac Forsky, quadricep. He didn't practice none this week. He has been ruled out. Quarterback, yes, he's listed as quarterback. Taysom Hill, he didn't practice none this week with a foot and a left hand injury. He is questionable. Defensive end Cameron Jordan, ankle. He was limited. He is questionable. Running back Kendrick Miller, ankle. Didn't practice this week. He is out. Wide receiver Rashid Shaheed, thigh. Didn't practice none this week. He has been designated as questionable. And this one here just blows my mind. Quarterback Derek Carr, concussion, rib, right shoulder. He was limited on Wednesday, limited on Thursday, full participant on Friday. He is questionable. Did you just hear what all I listed? Concussion, rib, right shoulder. He's going to play. There's no doubt. There's no reason. There's no other reason why he was a full participant on Friday, other than the fact he's going to play. Make it make sense. This dude done had 2 concussions in 4 weeks, and he's going fine. Tight end Juwan Johnson, quadricep. He was limited all week. He is questionable for Sunday's game. Also questionable, we have linebacker Pete Warner, shoulder and oblique. He was limited all week. He is questionable. Kicker Blake Groupie with a right groin. He was a full participant all week. He is questionable. Chris Olave, our wide receiver, he was dealing with illness. Didn't practice this week. He is questionable. And guard Nick Saravari, shoulder. He was a full participant on Friday. He is questionable. I'm just, my mind is blown with this Derek Carr thing. My mind is just is blown, man. Y'all that desperate? I don't understand. I don't understand. And this isn't a hatred towards Derek Carr thing. This isn't I don't want Derek Carr on the field thing. But let's be real. I'm a human being too. This dude his career can be over, man. This dude done had 2 concussions this season. 2 that we know of. His shoulder has been messed up for what? Since the beginning of the year. And you still trotting him out there. Come on, man. I mean, really. Why? So you can have the built-in excuse where Derek Carr was hurt? You know, that's what you wanted. That's the reason? I don't see no other reason why you would trot this man out there on Sunday. Now, is this defense the best? Are they the best at getting at your quarterback? Not really. But this is a game, theoretically, you don't need Derek Carr. You can sit Derek Carr. And if Jameis Winston can't go out there and beat this team, God help us all. Taysom Hill. Well, Taysom Hill's a little banged up, so you can't use him. And so it'll have to be Jameis. And they utterly refuse to put Jameis Winston in that game. But if they keep this up, it's going to be Jameis Winston. Derek Carr cannot last like this. Once you get concussions and they start coming frequent like that, they're going to continue to come frequent like that. You know, he has to think. Derek Carr needs to think for the future, honestly. No kidding. Once again, this isn't hatred towards Derek Carr because I don't want him as my quarterback. I'm being sincere here, man. He needs to really think about his career and his life going forward. Is it really worth it to go play Carolina? It doesn't make sense. But keys to victory for this Sunday's matchup against the Carolina Panthers. Look, man, what I mean, what can I say? This team, or should I say this game, man, they should destroy Carolina. Let's be honest. This shouldn't even be a game. But judging by week 2, when we struggled against this same team, uh, um, it wouldn't shock me if we go out here and lose. Honest to God. And if we go out here and lose this game, Mickey Loomis, please, bro, make the decision. Go ahead on and cut ties. And if he don't, Gail Benson, you need to cut them all. Just blow it up, man. Just blow it up. Start over. It just don't make sense. It don't make sense. Honestly, bro. But I really don't have keys to victory because there's nothing to key on here. This is the Carolina Panthers. They're really that bad. They're really that bad. That 1-11 record really is who they are. Actually, they're worse than that. I don't even know who did they beat. I don't even remember who they beat. But either way, they are that bad. So just play your game. Just go out there and execute. Execute. This is a catchback game. This is the type of game where you build your confidence back up. You start, yeah, this is a lesser team, whatever, theoretically. Kicking Mother Teresa while she's down type deal, but whatever. You need to get your mind right. And if you really want to make a push, if you really want to do something this season, you're going to have to go out here and utterly destroy this team. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. But I do pick the Saints to come out victorious in this game. Now, like I said before, if the Saints lose this game, everybody needs to go. If the Saints struggle in this game, everybody needs to go. Because that lets me know if you're going to struggle against the Carolina Panthers, you actually think you got a snowball's chance and you know where against the 49ers, against the Eagles, against the Cowboys, against these upper echelon teams in the NFC. Man, miss me with all that. So you need to go out here and to handle your business, man. Honestly, honest to God. But in any event, everybody, I'd like to know what you think about this game. What you think about the Mickey Loomis comments. Are you out? I know I've been asking this question for a few weeks here, and that's sad. That is sad that I have to ask that question. Because it's an honest question. I mean, are you out? Because, man, this team, man. God help us. God help us all as the Know That Nation. I want to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the KB Radio Network on all social media platforms. Also, YouTube, search for the KB Radio Network channel. Subscribe and like this video. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this preview of the Saints versus the Panthers this Sunday, 12 noon on Fox in the Superdome. If you want to go to the game, I'm telling you, they're dirt cheap. You can go, you can get those tickets for like $10, $15. I'm not lying. Look them up. If you want to go to the game, I'm gonna watch it at home. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it. But in any event, after the game, everybody join me for the recap of hopefully a Saints victory. We shall see. Until then, I'm gonna be screaming, "Who dat?"